It's a lovely Tuesday. Welcome and thank you for joining us on this daily lunchtime news and current affairs show where we share with you the latest news from Namibia and beyond. Now in today's news, here's some of what you can expect. Oshana region commits to fighting crime. Oshoto-Jupa governor hands over wheelchairs to councillors in the region for distribution to people with disabilities. These stories and more lined up in today's program. I am Ashwin Berry and this is NMH at 1. Now, in our latest news, the Food and Agriculture Organization of the United Nations, as part of its support towards the locust response activities by Namibia's government, has handed 56 Samsung Galaxy A12 smartphones to the Ministry of Agriculture, Water and Land Reform this morning at MAWR's offices in Windhoek. The donation is in line with the implementation of the project titled Rapid Response to the African Migratory Locust Outbreak in Southern Africa and forms part of FAO's support towards the locust response activities in Namibia. We now take a trip around the country when we come back with visual news from across Namibia. Stay with us. Let's get right into today's visual news. The police in the northern regions have enforced their commitment to fight crime with the return of their helicopter after having been out of service for over a year. Here, Oshana Police spokesperson Inspector Thomas Ayambo speaks to NMH at 1's Tunohole Mungoba.
The Oshakati Air Wing Subdivision is operational now. Since our shopper went for repair, we did not inform you officially that he is back for duty. The shopper is now here permanently to assist in crime prevention. We know the shopper can do the air patrol. It can assist us for missing person, tracing missing person, freeing of suspects. Either a robbery have happened, to assist the members on the ground to trace the suspects, and also to go deep. As you know, we have got also areas like semi-desert, especially during this rain season. We can drop the members there immediately to rescue those who are in need of help. As I said, the Oshakati Air Wing Subdivision is here under Chief Inspector Chirikunye is the pilot and his crew. So the public should know that this shopper, it will cater for Oshana, Oshkoto, Hangwena, and Omsati. We know how far is Utapi from here. It's about 90 kilometers. But if something happens, it will be in Utapi within 20 minutes.
Now, the governor of Oshodonjupa region, James Uerika, handed over 21 wheelchairs to his constituency councillors. This comes after 350 wheelchairs were donated to the governor of Oshana region, Elia Irimari, by Rani Group, who shared them among all the governors in 14 regions. Enzo Amuela was at the event.
The situation on the ground better. You are able to identify who are those with needs in terms of wheelchairs. And as we establish the advisory council, your officers will also be requested to recommend people with disability in your various constituencies for them to constitute part of the advisory council, which is about to be launched soon, but we need to have the names concluded. As a concept note, and the framework is already agreed upon and is concluded. Having said that, this event is actually to hand over these wheelchairs to you officially, as we have been given by the Rani Group of companies through the governor of Oshana region, Comrade Elia Irimari, that now we are handing it over to yourselves as councillors who are in touch with the sovereigns on a daily basis, who understand the dynamics in every constituency. You are able to identify those that are in need, and as a result, you will be able to provide assistance wherever such a need will arise. So the 21 wheelchairs will be for the constituencies, given to each constituency councillor, and I'm urging you as constituency councillors, do get hold of your faith-based leaders, religious leaders, traditional authority leaders, and local authority leaders. These are the leaders that are also in touch with the nitty-gritties and of our society, for them to be able to identify and provide you with the correct individuals or Namibians that you should benefit from this product that we have. It's a gesture that we take very seriously, and we want to thank the Rani Group of companies. We want to thank the Honorable Governor of Oshana region and all the other regional governors for this effort that we have put together. And equally, I want to thank all the constituency councillors for Oshodonjupa region for your determination, for your steadfastness, for your good working relationship and cooperation and coordination in executing government work. And I think, and of course confidently so, that going forward as a region, we are able to propel ourselves to greater heights in terms of service delivery and ensuring that our region is a united and socially developed region for the common good of its people.
Regional councillors of Oshodonjupa region, we are having a lot of requests in terms of wheelchairs. We are sitting with adults, children. If you go to the social pay points, you see elderly that are coming carried by others because they need to come and collect their monthly pensions. Those are the target groups that we are going to look at, Honorable Governor. We are also looking at the children. We are seeing every morning that some children have been carried to schools because they are not having the mobility they need to walk themselves to school. Honorable Governor, I'd like to inform you on this note also that we are in discussion with a German company that we are looking at establishing a school with special needs in the region. We will be starting with Ochivarongo, where we will at least put up 2 classrooms for children with special needs.
Now, Irvin Leuschner of our Erongo office caught up with Quinton Liebenberg, owner of the Tiger Reef Beach Bar, after the Swakopmund River broke through to the ocean recently. Have a look.
Quinton Liebenberg.
Morning, sir. How are you?
Fine, and you?
Well, what can I say? What an awesome morning to be able to experience all this rain and being honored to have a river come down in how many years? We're blessed. Very
Indeed,
awesome.
indeed.
Very
Tell me,
awesome.
you're the owner of Tiger Reef, and you've been struggling with erosion and the sea taking back what you've built for a long time. How do you feel about this?
Well, this has always been a very positive thing with Tiger Reef. Tiger Reef's boundary line actually lies 15 to 20 meters into the sea, and over the years I've tried to keep my position, and as part of my marketing strategy to try and stay where I am, so it's myself against the sea. And in the meantime, I've come up with an awesome concept where we pile the poles deep into the ground and onto the bedrock for Tiger Reef, and then I've elevated the whole Tiger Reef on an existing platform by 2.5 meters. But saying that, the sand is still being eroding, and this is just awesome that we're getting some sand back again.
Yeah, so you're hoping Tiger Reef will be recharged your earth.
Well, at least we'll have the beach again where the people and the girls can lie and tan in front of Tiger Reef.
Thanks a million, Quentin. Eh?
Big pleasure, and we're very blessed. Thank you.
I certainly wish I could have been there for that beautiful moment. Now, when we return, we'll be taking a sneak peek inside today's daily print publications. But first, a quick ad break. Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. We now take a look at what the lead stories are in Namibia's daily newspapers. Today, the papers are leading with the same news bomb, the incredible fuel price increase that is due to hit Namibia as from tomorrow midnight. Petrol is due to cost 17.15 Namibian dollars per litre at pumps in Walvish Bay as from Wednesday midnight, while diesel will cost 17.28 Namibian dollars per litre. That is an increase of $1.20 Namibian dollars and $1.30 Namibian dollars per litre. Now in today's papers. The Namibian Sun focuses on the fact that fuel has in fact increased by 35.6% for petrol and 36.3% for diesel year on year, while pointing to the fact that fuel is still far cheaper than in our southern neighbor, South Africa. The Namibian Sun on its page 3 focuses on the Namibian government that wants to upscale the healthcare provision in Namibia. The idea is not to only improve access to medical care, but rather to transform the healthcare system, such as to meet requirements when epidemics or pandemics cause the system to come under great pressure. Various assessments and the World Health Organization handbook serve as a guideline. The Republican obviously leads with the same story but focuses more on the economic impact for the country, arriving at the conclusion that this massive increase will certainly cause another blow to be dealt to the economic recovery of Namibia. They also focus on the geopolitical reasons that are likely to cause more upsets in terms of pushing fuel prices upwards. On page 2, the Republican brings an update about the expected rainfall in Namibia. Rain is still expected to fall deep into March and even in the beginning of winter. In the meantime, there seems to be great chance of Namibia also receiving good rains in the next season, 2022-2023. The Allgemeine Zeitung focuses on the impact of the fuel increase and has spoken to a number of operators, including those involved in air and marine transport. The AZ foresees a massive impact on the tourism sector once again. Now, on its page 3, the Allgemeine Zeitung focuses on a trial that sees Cheryl Green having to defend the fact that she medically treated her partner, Rainer Kring, 63, with an oil that she prepared out of cannabis. It once again highlights the medical use of medication such as cannabidiol CBD, which is accepted as functional medication in other parts of the world, while Namibians have to defend themselves in court when the police finds the ointment in your possession. The Namibian is also citing Russia's invasion of Ukraine as being partly responsible for the massive fuel hike, describing the increase as reaching unprecedented heights. And having just heard that many pupils have been caught out by the changes in the educational system, it is sad to read on page 3 of the Namibian that students who have in fact learned hard and achieved the necessary marks to be allowed to attend school in order to finish their 12th year and finish with the Namibia Senior Secondary Certificate Advanced Subsidiary, that is generally understood to be the AS level, are now having a hard time finding a school that can accommodate them as the number of capacity of schools is limited. The New Era fears that this massive fuel increase will certainly push up inflation and in the process have an equally massive impact on disposable income in Namibia. On its page 3, the New Era writes about the recent meeting that saw Francina Kahungu, the previous mayor of Windhoek, now having been elected as SWAPO Party Women's Council Secretary. Kahungu wants to fight factionalism, division, regionalism, tribalism, and the differentiation among different ethnicities. As was expected, the examination results announced earlier leaves a huge number of kids on the street, as Namibia does not have a fully functional vocational training option in place. The Zone paper leads with a story that quotes the Deputy Executive Director of Education, Eda Bon, as having promised that the government is due to find alternative solutions. What the solution is remains unknown, while the parties affected are implored to be patient. The Market Watch today focuses on the economic prospects that have been laid out by the Central Bank of Namibia. It has lowered its economic growth forecast for 2021 from 1.5% to 0.9%. In the meantime, it projects that the mining industry and tertiary sector are likely to drive the economy for the years 2022 and 2023. Bank of Namibia thus projects a growth of 3.4% in 2022 and 3.7% in 2023 in the Namibian economy. Stay with us for economic news when we return.
Have you received a loan from NSFAF? NSFAF loan is the same as any other loan. It must be paid and settled. NSFAF has a set of guidelines on how you can repay your loan and become debt-free. Therefore, it is important that you, a former beneficiary and a responsible Namibian, show your patriotism by helping pay back your loan and thus helping NSFAF become a revolving fund for the benefit of future potential students. By failing to pay back your NSFAF loan, you risk being blacklisted or having a court order against you. So arrange with the fund to pay back your loan today. For more information on how you can repay your loan, visit our website at www.nasfaf.na or visit our Facebook page or Twitter. Do the right thing and hashtag #paybackthemoney.
Welcome back. Let's dive into today's economic news stories. The Spur Corporation dished up a whopping 119.4% increase in headline earnings to 59 million Namibian dollars in the 6 months to December 2021, as trading conditions improved with the easing of COVID-19 lockdown restrictions. There was a strong increase in restaurant foot traffic over the past few months of 2021. Chief Executive Val Nisha said group revenue grew by 40.3% to 441 million Namibian dollars due to improved franchised restaurant turnover, higher sales in the 5 company-owned restaurants, and increased sales from the manufacturing and distribution division. Comparable profit before income tax, excluding once-off and unusual items, increased by 96.3%. Now, franchised restaurant sales grew 28.3% over the prior period when significant restrictions on sit-down trade were in place. Growth was driven mainly by the Spur brand, which increased local restaurant sales by 32.6%. Panarottis, John Dory's, and Rocco Mama's all increased restaurant sales by a third, and the Hassa Grill by 45% in South Africa. In the next economic news story, mining expected to be the growth engine. The mining industry and most of the industries in the tertiary sector are expected to drive the economy in 2022 and 2023. According to the Bank of Namibia Economic Outlook, the domestic economy is projected to grow by 3.4% in 2022 and to 3.7% in 2023. The central bank lowered its economic growth forecast for 2021 from 1.5% to 0.9%, a decrease of 0.6 percentage points. This is a result of lower performance in sectors like non-metallic minerals products, construction, wholesale and retail trade, and financial services, the Bank of Namibia said. Diamond mining is anticipated to expand by 26.2% in 2022 and 16.5% in 2023, as the new mining vessel is expected to commence production during the second quarter of 2022. The sector is estimated to have grown by 2.3% in 2021. In addition, despite risks from low prices and water supply issues, the uranium mining sector is expected to grow by 3.9% and 6.6% in 2022 and 2023, respectively. Now let's talk about BP. BP quits Russia. BP is abandoning its stake in Russian oil giant Rosneft in an abrupt and costly end to 3 decades of operating in the energy-rich country, marking the most significant move yet by a Western company in response to Moscow's invasion of Ukraine. Rosneft accounts for around half of BP's oil and gas reserves and a third of its production, and divesting the 19.75% stake will result in charges of up to 25 billion US dollars, the British company said, without saying how it plans to extricate itself. Now, the rapid retreat represents a dramatic exit for BP, the biggest foreign investor in Russia, and puts the spotlight on other Western companies with operations in the country, including France's Total Energies and Britain's Shell, amid an escalating crisis between the West and Moscow. It also underscores growing pressure from Western governments on their companies to curtail operations in Russia as they widen the net of economic sanctions against Moscow, Reuters reports. Let's have a look at our economic indicators. The US dollar retained its value, trading at 15 Namibian dollars and 37 cents, while the British pound, euro and Chinese yuan went up in value. Closing stock prices show an increase of 1.70% in stock prices for Capricorn Investment Group, while other stock prices remained the same. The closing local index has increased by 0.25%. The stock prices of Oryx Properties Limited have also increased. Brent crude oil went down by 2.10%, while other commodities shot up in value. Copper stood at a solid $9.883 and 50 cents in value. We'll be back shortly with news from across the continent. We now take a look at the latest news in and beyond Namibia's borders, staying in Africa, and later will extend to the rest of the globe. Now, at least 9 migrants drowned off Tunisia in a shipwreck. At least 9 African migrants drowned in a shipwreck off Tunisia as they tried to cross the Mediterranean to Italy on Monday, while another 9 were rescued by the Navy. The Defense Ministry said in recent months, several people have drowned off the Tunisian coast, with an increase in the frequency of attempted crossings to Europe from Tunisia and Libya towards Italy. Navy units backed by the Coast Guard recovered the bodies of 9 migrants from different African countries and rescued 9 other migrants after their boat sank 18 kilometers off Cheba Madia Governorate, the ministry said. Now, the health condition of the survivors is critical, they added. The search was still underway for more possible drowned. Hundreds of thousands of people have made perilous Mediterranean crossing in recent years, many of them fleeing conflict and poverty in Africa and the Middle East. Now, AU decries reports of ill treatment by Africans who are trying to flee Ukraine. The African Union said on Monday that it was disturbed by reports that African citizens in Ukraine are being refused the right to cross borders to safety as they try to flee the conflict in Ukraine. Thousands of African and other foreign nationals, particularly students, have been scrambling to leave Ukraine following Russia's invasion. But as hundreds of thousands throng Ukraine's borders, overwhelming authorities authorities in neighboring countries, reports have emerged that Africans are being treated differently and sometimes prevented from leaving. Several have shared videos and testimonies on social media denouncing discrimination at train stations and border posts. Reuters has not been able to authenticate the videos. The statement added that all people have the rights to cross international borders during conflict and should enjoy the same rights to cross to safety from the conflict in Ukraine, notwithstanding their nationality or racial identity. Now, Sudanese protesters against military rule defy tear gas to reach palace gates. Huge crowds of Sudanese protesters demonstrating against military rule advanced up to the gates of the presidential palace in central Khartoum on Monday, despite facing heavy tear gas and stun grenades, a Reuters reporter said. Now, one prosecutor was killed by a gunshot to the head during parallel protests in neighboring Omdurman, and dozens were injured in Khartoum, the Central Committee of Sudanese doctors said. Protesters have been marching on the presidential palace frequently since an October 25 coup that ended a civilian-military power-sharing arrangement that was meant to lead to democratic elections. At least 84 people have been killed in security crackdowns. Now, Monday represents only the second time since the coup that protesters had been able to reach palace gates, a site that demonstrations in Sudan have historically targeted. They began retreating before sunset, and some were chased into side streets by security forces, a Reuters reporter said. Stay with us before we get into your international news.
Join the club, the Infinity Club with Paratus, and jump into a world of limitless connectivity. For only $599 per month excluding VAT, the new LTE Infinity Lite package that includes a Wingle will overcome all limitations. Visit paratus.africa/NA for more information.
Always prepared. Paratus.
Now, in international news, rockets kill 70 Ukrainian soldiers. Huge Russian column approaches Kiev. More than 70 Ukrainian servicemen were killed by a Russian rocket attack, and dozens of civilians have died in barbaric shelling, Ukrainian authorities said on Tuesday, as a huge Russian military convoy approached the capital, Kiev. Fierce resistance on the ground has so far denied Russian President Vladimir Putin decisive early gains after he last week launched the biggest assault on a European state since World War II. Staging a push for the capital, Russia has massed a convoy of armored vehicles, tanks, and other military equipment that stretches about 40 miles. U.S. satellite company Maxar said late on Monday. The Russian advance on Kyiv has made little progress over the past 24 hours, probably as a result of continuing logistical difficulties, the British Defense Ministry said in a military intelligence update, adding that Russia had increased its use of artillery. Now, Russian forces were attacking on several fronts, and Ukrainian soldiers reported a bombardment of Kharkiv, the country's second largest city, and had killed dozens of civilians. Now, there are fears of medical shortages and disease in Ukraine after the Russian invasion. Ukraine is running low on critical medical supplies and has yet to halt urgent efforts to curb a polio outbreak since Russia invaded the country, public health experts say. Medical needs are already acute, with the World Health Organization warning on Sunday that oxygen supplies were running out. Fears of a wider public health crisis are growing as people flee their homes. Health services are interrupted and supplies fail to reach Ukraine, which has also been hit by the COVID-19 pandemic. WHO spokesperson Tarik Yazarevich said on Monday routine immunization and outbreak control efforts for polio had been suspended in Ukraine because of the fighting. WHO has received reports that coronavirus vaccination campaigns have also been put on hold in many parts of the country, he said. The WHO said electricity shortages in some areas had affected the safety of vaccine stock and surveillance had been disrupted. Now, in the last of our international news stories, people flee to rooftops as weather bomb submerges Australian towns. Tens of thousands of people were ordered to evacuate as heavy rains smashed Australia's east coast on Monday, submerging towns and stranding residents on rooftops, with authorities warning of life-threatening flash floods. 9 people have been killed since the deluge began last Thursday, and rescue teams were searching on Monday for at least 4 people reported missing. Prime Minister Scott Morrison, who called the unprecedented rains a weather bomb, said defense personnel would be deployed to flood-hit areas to lead both rescue and recovery operations. The Brisbane River in the Queensland capital peaked on Monday morning, flooding several streets in Australia's third largest city. Social media posts showed inundated houses and debris, including bins, boats and cars floating down roads. Many of the 9 fatalities were people who had attempted to cross flooded roads, either by foot or on a vehicle, including one man who was found in a submerged car on Monday morning with a deceased dog. As tens of thousands of people were evacuated, tens of thousands more were put on alert for potential orders to flee. Thousands of schools were closed and at least 50,000 homes were without power. We'll be back with sports news after the break.
Join the club, the Infinity Club with Paratas, and jump into a world of limitless connectivity. For only $5.99 per month excluding VAT, the new LTE Infinity Lite package that includes a Wingle will overcome all limitations. Visit paratas.africa/NA for more information.
Always prepared. Paratus.
Now let's start off with your local sport. Nestor's boxers are gaining momentum. Nestor's Sunshine Tobias says his boxers are showing hunger and eagerness to compete ahead of the Together as One Part 6 boxing bonanza slated for Helao Nafidi on 19 March. The boxers are just about 3 weeks away from trading leather in the MTC Nestor's Sunshine Tobias boxing promotions. Tobias says that the boxers have picked up speed and are showing signs of great readiness weeks after the fights were announced. Now, Paulina's John Njolo Limas, Charles Shinima and Philippus Energy Ngitumbwa are raring to defend their titles in March when they headline the Academy's next bonanza in Helao Nafidi. Now, in the next story, the settlement of Groot Aub is gearing for the second edition of the Independence Challenge, taking place from 19 to 21 March this year. Tournament organizers say the Independence Challenge will attract football teams from different settlements and Windhoek. The entry fee for the competition is $1,000 Namibian, with the winners taking home $7,000 Namibian plus a trophy and medals. The runners-up will walk away with $4,000 Namibian and medals, while the 2 semi-finalists will get $2,000 Namibian each for their efforts. Swinging over to cricket, Cricket Namibia once again acquired another sponsorship today after penning a deal with Diagno Lab to conduct all COVID-19 testing for the national teams. The deal will see Diagno Lab providing the cricket organization with testing for the next 2 years. Just now, we'll head into your international sport. All right, let's get into your international sports stories. Arrows learn fate after Mbele debacle. The PSL disciplinary committee has delivered a verdict on Golden Arrows' fate following the club's improper registration of Simo Mbele at the start of the season. Golden Arrows will not face any points deduction in the DStv Premiership following the improper registration of the player Simo Mbele, the PSL disciplinary committee has confirmed. Now, Zamalek have parted ways with head coach Patrice Carteron after a disappointing start to the new season. The defending Egyptian Premier League champions currently sit fourth in the standings and are yet to win a game in the CAF Champions League group stages. FIFA and UEFA have jointly suspended Russia from all footballing activities with immediate effect. Following Russia's invasion of Ukraine, the world has been outraged by these events as strict sanctions continue to be imposed on the former. All right, that brings us to the end of our international sports. Let's have a look at your weather. Now, looking to have a minimum of 18 with a maximum of 35, with Windhoek expecting a maximum of 29 degrees. Swinging over to some of the hottest spots in the country, Aranos and Ariamsfley and Mariento are 36, 36 and 37 degrees respectively. That has been our weather. Now, if you didn't get us at the beginning of lunch, we understand you had to eat that food. But after the break, your highlights. Thank you for staying with NMH at 1. Let's get into today's highlights. At least 9 African migrants drowned in a shipwreck off Tunisia as they tried to cross the Mediterranean to Italy on Monday, while another 9 were rescued by the Navy, the Defense Ministry said. Russian invasion forces seized 2 small cities in southeastern Ukraine and the area around a nuclear power plant, the Interfax news agency reported on Monday, but ran into stiff resistance elsewhere as Moscow's diplomatic and economic isolation deepened. Now in sport, Nestor Sunshine Tobias says his boxers are showing hunger and eagerness to compete ahead of the Together as One Part 6 boxing bonanza slated for Helao Nafidi on 19 March. The boxers are just about 3 weeks away from trading leather in the MTC Nestor Sunshine Tobias boxing promotions. Tobias says that the boxers have picked up speed and are showing signs of great readiness weeks after the fights were announced. Paulina's John Njolo Nimas, Charles Shinima and Philippus Energy Gitumbwa are raring to defend their titles in March when they headline the Academy's next bonanza in Helao Nafidi. In international sport, Arrows learn fate after Mbele debacle. The PSL disciplinary committee has delivered a verdict on Golden Arrows' fate following the club's improper registration of Simo Mbele at the start of the season. Golden Arrows will not face any points deduction in the DStv Premiership, following the improper registration of player Simo Mbele, the PSL disciplinary committee has confirmed. Now, in economic news, the Spur Corporation dished up a whopping 119.4% increase in headline earnings to 59 million Namibian dollars in the 6 months to December 2021, as trading conditions improved with the easing of COVID-19 lockdown restrictions. Those have been our highlights. We'll be saying goodbye just after the break. Now, that's it with regards to NMH at 1. Now, look, it's one thing to live in a community. It's another thing to know what transpires within it. So let's look at what's happening in your region in Regional Review.
The Environmental Investment Fund of Namibia and MTC announced the sponsorship of a national gene bank for the establishment of a community seed bank in the Kavango West region at the Sarukwe village. This announcement comes after the signing of an agreement in September last year to work together in future on corporate socially responsible and investment programs, with specific focus on environmental, sustainability and nature. The agreement covers 3 areas, namely the seed bank initiative itself, a cleaning campaign and an early warning system in the Kunene region. The EIF and MTC jointly availed $400,000 for the establishment of the seed bank. Speaking at the event, the new Director of Forestry from the Ministry, John Ndukosho, narrated the importance of the NBRI, the National Botanic Research Institute, and its role that it plays in preserving the genetic natural resources. Delivering remarks on behalf of the EIF, Chief Executive Benedict Labanda said that the seed bank must be supported as it safeguards tomorrow's diversity. He said that humanity's future depends on the diversity of the species living on our planet, as they provide present and future generations with a food source and a healthy environment. Representing MTC, Tim Okanjo said that his company believes that environmental sustainability is everybody's responsibility. Also present at the event was Environmental Commissioner Timotheus Mufeti, who reiterated government's commitment to the conservation of natural resources and more specifically the nation's genetic resources. He indicated that this partnership would go a long way in assisting to build on the 5,000 genetic seeds that are already stored at the NBRI.
Understanding conservation and sustainable use of Namibia's plants for the benefit of all. The National Gene Bank, which is part of the National Botanical Research Institute, plays an integral part in realizing this mission. By collecting and preserving plant genetic resources, namely mostly seeds.
To say that plants influence weather patterns. In fact, plants increase the chances of rain. If you have a forest vis-a-vis a desert, the forest increases your chances of rain if compared to a barren landscape. So that argument is also completely foundless and unfounded and, well, not scientifically based at all. But Governor, thirdly, we have an investment in agricultural production which has brought about the creation of over 800 jobs. 800 families depend on their job and income on this plantation and in the factory. It earns significant foreign currency through its exports. And last but not least, it produces food. Are we really saying we must stop producing food? We must take the job away from 800 people? And base that on completely illogical, absurd arguments?
First National Bank, through the First Rand Namibia Foundation, recently handed over $300,000 to the Integrated Rural Development and Nature Conservation, or IRDNC, organization. These funds will be used to enhance and support the organization's efforts towards human-wildlife coexistence research projects that offer practical solutions to keeping elephants out of crops and villages, as well as tourism initiatives aimed at helping communities understand the value in keeping these gentle giants alive. First Rand's Rivonia Kavihere said that while people the world over reap the benefits of maintaining flourishing wildlife populations, there are also cases where wildlife and human conflict has led to death and destruction. She said that this was the case with a unique elephant population known as the Kunene Highlands elephants, which have in the past conflicted with local communities over natural resources. This has been exacerbated by the drought conditions experienced over the last 6 years in that region. IRDNC Executive Director John Kasayone said that with this support, the organization will continue to work hand in hand with relevant communities and stakeholders towards establishing a long-term monitoring system as well as facilitating wildlife events. He said that the sharing of knowledge and incentivizing volunteer elephant rangers, as well as training of rangers and communities on elephant behavior, is also part of this initiative. Since human-elephant conflict is one of the issues identified, the focus will also expose communities to different approaches on how to avert and mitigate human-elephant conflict.
The rainbow sidewalk that is painted outside of the Brewers Market is the second rainbow sidewalk in Africa, and it is the first LGBTQ historic landmark for Namibia. And the Rainbow Sidewalk commemorated Human Rights Day on the 10th of December 2021, but it also celebrated the end of Pride Week, which was an intersectional week of celebrating our identities and LGBTQ persons and women's fight for reproductive justice as well. Why we did this was because representation and visibility matters. We know that state-sanctioned homophobic policies has pushed our community onto the margins of society. And one of the strongest tools we as LGBTQ persons have, coming out together in community, makes us stronger. And when we bring ourselves out of the shadow, we inspire many of our fellow LGBTQ brothers, sisters, gender non-conforming families to take up space. And because space has been denied for us, and as I've said, we've been pushed back into the closet and having our dignity and humanity stripped away from us. This Rainbow Sidewalk basically says we are here, we are queer, we are going nowhere, and this is our country too. And the Rainbow Sidewalk, also with all its colors and its diversity, celebrates our community's diversity, gender diversity, sexual diversity, our identities. It also celebrates inclusivity as well. Each color has a very unique meaning and message to LGBTQ persons. But all in all, the Rainbow Sidewalk is about community. It's about visibility, and it's about representation, and it's about building a society based on love and not hate. After we painted the sidewalk, you've seen many, many folks, LGBTQ persons, young, old, allies come out, take pictures. Like I said, it is a landmark, and it means so, so much to so many people. And so many people were happy to see Windhoek become a inclusive community and inclusive city that celebrates its very large, prominent LGBTQ social community. So the reason why we chose to have the Rainbow Sidewalk at the Brewers Market is because this place is formerly known as the Warehouse Theatre. And the Warehouse Theatre has been known in the LGBTQ community as a safe and inclusive space where we can come out, celebrate our sexuality, celebrate our identity, and most importantly, celebrate our right to love freely without any harassment, without any discrimination, but it's just a safe space. And to a large number of LGBTQ persons, we know how important safe spaces are for us and for our community, and how very impactful they can be to help uplift us together.
It has been over 7 months since Rundu Town Council announced plans to revamp its dump site, yet nothing tangible has been done on the site that has been neglected for many years. In July last year, NMH reported on how RTC has sought approval from the Urban and Rural Development Ministry to outsource the management of this dump site. 3 million was earmarked for that project, which includes fencing, a security gate, and resurfacing the access road. However, according to Rundu Chief Executive Olavi Nathaniel, they continue to await for a legal opinion before the project can commence. Meanwhile, while council sits with their arms crossed, the dumping site is becoming an unbearable and filthy eyesore as things are going from bad to worse. With council failing to effectively collect refuse in the town, homeowners who are able to do so dump refuse at the dump sites at their own cost while still paying their monthly refuse fee. Looking at the weather in the northeast, patchy clouds are forecast for Rundu today with thunder showers tomorrow, whereafter cloud cover is expected for the rest of the week. Temps hover at around the 30-degree mark. At Nkurunkuru, thunder showers are forecast for the next 3 days, followed by cloudy conditions. At Kongola, partly cloudy conditions can be expected today, with showers tomorrow and on Friday, and cloud cover for the rest of the week. It's partly sunny and hot at Katima, with clouds only forecast for Thursday and Friday, and at the border, Kasani can expect showers tomorrow and Thursday, whereafter it will clear.